The Broncos come out of the bye 3-5, and they think they are ready to go on a big playoff run. But I want to know deep down, do you believe this Broncos team can make the playoffs? What's going on, Broncos country? Welcome back after the bye week. The Broncos have a big test ahead of them as they prepare to go to Buffalo, take on the Bills on Monday Night Football. So we're going to preview that game, kind of get everyone's palate ready for the next week or so of Broncos content, and we're going to run through the keys to victory along with my predictions for the game. But let's first kind of set the scene by looking at the Broncos' remaining schedule. They got that big Monday night game we were just talking about at Buffalo, 5-4 Bills team that has not looked very sharp the last month or so. They come off a loss in Cincinnati on Sunday night before coming home, taking on the 4-game winning streak Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. And then the Browns come to town. Excuse me. They go to Houston. They go to the Chargers. They go to Detroit. They come home and play the Patriots, the Chargers, and then finish the season against the Raiders. But let's focus our attention on the Buffalo Bills. Kind of get everyone up to speed on who the Bills are this year. Looking at the 2023 stats, comparing Denver and Buffalo, the Bills are top 5 in points per game, points allowed, total yards, middle of the pack when it comes to yards allowed. But look at the Denver Broncos, dead last in yards allowed, right? Bottom half for total yards, middle of the pack for points per game, dead last in points allowed. Now, that 70-point prime ribeye that was hung on Denver against the Dolphins, that has sort of skewed a lot of these stats. Let's take a deeper look. Let's look at the Broncos and the Bills over the last 5 weeks. Points per game, nearly identical. Points allowed, nearly identical. Total yards favors the Bills by a wide margin. Yards allowed, nearly identical. But maybe the most important stat, the turnover differential. +4 for Denver. Of course, picking off and having the Chiefs turn it over 5 times is going to help that number a lot. But the Bills, not being very smart with the football, -6 the last 5 weeks in turnover differential. The Broncos are not only catching the Bills at a perfect time to pull off a win that back in August or really back in like May when the schedule came out looked to be a very daunting game going to Buffalo on Monday Night Football. But not only are the Broncos coming to Bills at a perfect time when Buffalo's kind of bleeding a little bit, Denver comes off a bye too. And I'm going to tell you all about Sean Payton coming off a bye and why this is a perfect time for the Broncos to pull off a big upset where they are touchdown plus favorites on the road. But really quickly, our word from our friends over at Game Time. So support for today's show comes in from Game Time because you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. If you're trying to catch an upcoming Broncos game or you want to see a Nuggets game or another sporting event in your area, Game Time is the place to visit first. Now, what I love about Game Time specifically is the ability to get last-minute tickets for the lowest price guarantee. There's nothing better than like a spur-of-the-moment boys trip to go catch a Broncos game, go catch an Avs game. And with Game Time, you can do that and know that you're not going to break the bank in the process. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Broncos Chat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem the code Broncos Chat for $20 off. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Now, my 5 keys to victory against the Bills. Starting off with capitalize on the bye week. Like I was just alluding to a few moments ago, Sean Payton coming off the bye in New Orleans, he talked about going into the bye that he took a page out of Andy Reid's book and he really let everyone go away and take a much-needed week off. And that has worked for him the last 6 years as a head coach. 2021 at Seattle, win for the Saints. 2020, home, win. 2019, loss at Atlanta. 2018, at the Ravens, tough opponent, win. 2017 against the Lions, win. 2016 against the Panthers, win. 5-1 in his last 6 games following the bye as an NFL head coach. So clearly, you have to come in well rested, and you've got to maximize what has been a very strategic and advantageous thing for Sean Payton, and that is coming off the bye. Sorry about the voice being lost, everyone. I hate it too. Second key to victory, pressuring Josh Allen. Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. I don't want anyone to get a different picture coming out of this video. But ever since that Giants game where he kind of dinged up his shoulder a little bit and he didn't want to give high fives above the waist, something looked a little off with Josh Allen. In fact, look at Josh Allen's numbers over the last 4 weeks. He's still Josh Allen, but he's not Josh Allen like super Josh Allen, right? He's not the guy that's running all over the place. No, he's kind of protecting his body a little bit. He doesn't want to take hits in the open field. He wants to protect the shoulder. We're not seeing the usual Josh Allen that goes back and forth with Patrick Mahomes to go to the Super Bowl, right? That guy has been absent for the last month or so, and I think it's because he's playing through what could be a somewhat serious shoulder injury. So who does this responsibility fall on? The Broncos front five. Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen, Baron Browning, Nick Bonita. That pass rush has to get after Josh Allen. I know it's kind of Captain Obvious speak to go, you want to beat the Bills? Pressure Josh Allen. It's a little bit of a no shit Sherlock, but also Josh Allen is looking a bit vulnerable. He's looking a little bit like Achilles at the end of Troy. You got to pounce on that, right? Be Orlando Bloom and make the most of this opportunity because he's going to be healthy later on. So when he's not, you really got to pounce on that. Third key to victory for Denver, win in the trenches. Again, another bit of a cliche key to victory, but I think this is especially true for the Broncos going to Buffalo because the Bills' pass rush hasn't been all that. Talk to Bills fans about what has been disappointing for them. All out Broncos, I know you're from Buffalo. Von Miller, nothing to show for. Leonard Floyd has been the best part of this pass rush, not taking anything away from him. 7 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. But Gregory Rousseau, Ed Oliver, they've got good players. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying the Bills' pass rush has not been the pass rush Buffalo had hoped it would be at this point in the year. So now we look at the other side of the trenches, right? Denver's offensive line. And they have bounced back after a slow start to the year. Wink, wink, Mike McGlinchey. 3 sacks allowed since week 4. Not great still. That number needs to be a lot lower. But when Quinn Miners or when Lloyd Cushenberry is one of your best offensive linemen, it really speaks volume as to the rest of the guys being much better than Lloyd Cushenberry and the trajectory of this offensive line. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's show, if you want Denver to be 4-5, or you want me to get my voice back maybe, hit that sub button down below. Help us grow this channel. Get some good vibes going. Get some good mojo out into the YouTube verse so we can help this team turn this ship around. Fourth key to victory for Denver, Patrick Surtain has to dominate Stefon Diggs. I actually looked at the numbers. The Bills don't go as Stefon Diggs goes. It's not like if Stefon Diggs is shut down, the Bills lose. No, Stefon Diggs still has good games in Bills losses. But when you're 3-5 and you're going on the road and the Bills are looking at you like some good old bait that's going to help get them back on track, a bounce back game home against a 3-5 team, well, if they're going to turn things around, they're going to do it by going to their star players like Stefon Diggs, who is having yet another phenomenal season, 834 yards and 7 touchdowns. So it's going to be up to Pat Surtain to put Diggs in his pocket. So the Bills Mafia does not come out going, oh, we're going to bounce back. We're going to chew up and spit out the Broncos. Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen are going to use this as a trampoline to put themselves back on track for the second half of the year. No. That can't happen if you're Denver. And that starts with Pat Surtain putting Diggs in his pocket. Now, Surtain is still having an incredible season, as he always does. But if you remove the dreadful 70-point game against the Dolphins. Look at Pat Surtain's numbers. 248 yards allowed. They're 5-3, 8 games. We're talking about 7 games. 248 yards over 7 games in coverage. 1 touchdown, 8 pass breakups. 1 which should be 2 interceptions, which means it should be 0 touchdowns allowed. Pat Surtain is still Pat Surtain, make no mistake, and I want to see him shut down Stephon Diggs. 5th and final key to victory for the Broncos. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Denver made a lot of changes after that game against Miami and then the Jets at home and the Bears. Like, that stretch right there was dreadful for Vance Joseph. And they made a lot of changes not only on the defensive side of the ball, but on the offensive side of the ball. Like, we looked at this graphic before the bye week. Look at the usage by Javonte Williams and highlight reel Jaleel in the first 4 weeks of the season to the next 4 weeks of the year. Carries way up. Average up. Yards up. Everything is up. The ground game is working. It is what sparked a 2-game win streak offensively in my eyes. Keep going to it. And the same goes for the changes made on defense. Keep riding with Fabian Moreau. Is he the hot hand? Not really, but he's better than Damari Mathis. But if you're looking for a hot hand, it's Jaquan McMillan taking over from Essang Bassey at the nickel position. Add in Justin Simmons and Josie Jewell coming back healthy and looking the part, especially number 31. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This team has made a lot of changes over the last month or so. Don't revert back to old habits. Keep going with what is working, and that's this current personnel. So like I said, I was going to give you guys my prediction, but I want to know what your score prediction is before I give you mine. So scroll on down and give me your Broncos-Bills score prediction. For me, I'm sorry. I wish I could say Denver's going to win this game, but I would be lying to you because I don't believe that. I think the Bills are going to squeak out a win. They're still going to look frauds. Don't get me wrong. This is not going to be a Bills are back on track, baby. No, this is going to be similar to the Bills beating the Giants at home. But ultimately, Denver sitting at 3-5 has a lot more going wrong than Buffalo does. So for that reason, I'm going to take the Bills in a very close game.